Hello everybody, it's time for another super duper video. This one is about leaves and metal and gilding. Well, I know that leaves are fun to jump in and they make crunchy sounds. And metal is something that my mom sometimes listens to that I find really loud and annoying. And gilding, well, I have no idea what that is about, so I guess I'm going to have to watch the video. Hey all, this is going to be a fairly quick video. Some students requested that I demonstrate how to do metal leaf gilding, and so this is me showing you how to do that. And I'm actually going to do it on this little painting that I did yesterday. So, they specifically asked for gold leaf gilding. I'm doing it with silver because that's what I have. I have some silver leaf that I used to make little snowdrops on my Christmas cards that I sent out this year. But it's all the same stuff. So I just want to talk about the silver leaf itself. Before you think, oh wow, that sounds really expensive, it's made out of silver or gold. They do make actual gold, copper, and silver leaf that has been hammered super thin, but it's like the good stuff that they keep in the back of the store that you have to ask for, and it is really expensive, and it depends on the price of gold or silver or whatever you're getting. But what they have actually in a store that most people use for crafting is what's called composite leaf, which means it's made up of different metals. So I think the gold is made up of copper and zinc or something, and the silver is made up of aluminium. So this is basically like really fancy tinfoil, but it's not that fancy because the price of silver leaf, like genuine silver leaf, I would imagine would maybe be about $5 per sheet, whereas this is about 50 cents per sheet, and gold is going to be more expensive than silver itself. And the composite stuff works just fine for most anything that you're going to want to do with it. So the first thing you need is to buy your actual leaf, and it comes in packs like this. They're about 6 inches by 6 inches sheets, and they keep them in between sheets of tissue paper. I hope I have some. So that it doesn't stick to the other things, and as you can see, it is super thin and flimsy. So you don't want to sneeze or cough or blow dry your hair. Oh, some got stuck to my finger. Or have a window open because it will just kind of blow all over the place. And it is also sold in flakes, which I basically ended up creating just by touching the leaf. So flakes are just kind of little leftover bits. They sell them in plastic containers usually. You can make your own flakes once you start putting these leaves on and wiping off the excess that doesn't get stuck to the glue. I guess I'll just have silver fingers. Anyway, you also need an adhesive. This is a pen that I got because the snowdrops that I was putting on my cards were really small, so I wanted something that could get fine detail. I usually would buy it in a bottle and paint it on. So it is actually a special gilding glue or gilding adhesive. I think it also comes in a spray format, which would be really good if you were trying to cover a large area and you wanted it pretty flat. But it's not going to be good if you want fine detail. I'm hoping that my pen hasn't dried out. Sometimes I find that pens of any of this kind of thing do have a tendency to dry out, so we'll see. I'm ready to apply my adhesive. So with this pen, you have to give it a good shake. I guess I don't need to do that because the phone's going to shake. I have given it a shake, and then you want to sort of just kind of pump it a bit on something that isn't what you're actually going to be putting your leaf on. So I've decided to write the first stanza of a poem by Emily Bronte called Bluebell. And Emily Bronte is from Yorkshire, and that's sort of where I'm from too, partially. And I remember being a young girl and going to the fields of bluebells, and the entire field would just be a mass of blue flowers. It was very pretty. So I'm going to write the first stanza. So I'm going to write it and then I'll come back to you. So you just write on it. You can kind of see where you have written for a while. Oops, I have 5 room. All right. So now you need to follow the instructions on the adhesive that you bought to make sure it's dry. You don't want to work with this when it's wet. It needs to dry and get tacky. I can't actually read the instructions on this pen, so I'm going to let it dry for a good 30 minutes and I'll see you then. To apply the leaf, you just pick it up and carefully place it on your surface that you've got your dried glue on. And I think like you can use your fingers, but as you saw earlier, the leaf sometimes tends to get stuck to the oil on your fingers, so I'm just going to use this brush to tamp it down. And this is going to take a while, so I'm going to see if I can do a time lapse. I think I've applied the leaf everywhere I had adhesive, and if you were watching during the time-lapse video, you may have noticed that I kind of picked up little pieces that were left over and placed them on because they work just as well as fresh, brand new leaves. And that's actually what flakes are when you buy them in the store. And it's not so much because I'm worried about saving money, but because I just hate wasting stuff. So I'm going to, because of that, start creating my own little container of flakes. And you want to sort of avoid jamming them into a tight-fitting space because then they will just kind of squish and compress together. And to sort of fully get all of the adhesive off, you sort of scrub with your brush. So I'm going to put it on time lapse again so that you can see that process. I've got most of the leaf off at this point, so I'm just going in with my brush and scrubbing quite hard to get all of the bits that aren't actually stuck to adhesive off of there. I've finished wiping most of the leaf off of the painting, and as you can see, it didn't go super fine detail, so if I was wanting to get really fine detail, I would want to get a bottle of the liquid glue adhesive, Gilding adhesive, and use a fine detail brush to apply it, or a toothpick or something. I'm not too bothered about it being thick and some of the O's being solid circles. I just kind of wanted to play around to show you a demo, and this is the materials that I happen to have at home. And now I've got my box of flakes to use at another time, and I'll try to shine a light on it. You can see it is very reflective, and it's a lot more metallic looking than, I wonder if it'll look better if I do that, maybe. It's a lot more metallic than using, say, a metallic paint or especially like a metallic pencil crayon. And I just wrote this first stanza of a poem by Emily Bronte. The bluebell is the sweetest flower that waves in summer air. Its blossoms have the mightiest power to soothe my spirit's care. Emily Bronte. And just in case you're kind of confused and wondering why it's not all gothic and spooky and there's no women trapped in an attic somewhere, it does take on a darker edge later in the poem, but I just wanted to imagine that it was this first stanza, which is kind of nice, and I have a fond memory of seeing the bluebells in the pastures back in England when I was a little girl. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Ta-ra!